The Little Match Girl. It was a terribly cold night on New Year's Eve. It was really dark, and snow was falling. In the cold night went a poor little girl with no hat and bare feet because she had lost her mother's big shoes. She was roaming the streets. Her feet got red and blue from the cold. In an old apron she carried a pile of matches, and she had one box of matches in her hand. No one had bought or given her even a coin all day. She wandered the streets, shivering in the cold. She was starving. Lights were shining from every window. She could smell roast goose. "Yes, it is New Year's Eve today," thought the little girl. She sank down and huddled up. She put her tiny feet together, but they were freezing. She dared not go home because she had not sold a single match. She had no penny to take home. Her little hands were almost frozen. "Oh, the matches! They might help me," thought the little girl. She took out a match. It could at least warm up her hands. She took one out, and swoosh! The match lit up. It was warm, bright, and burning like a little candle in her hand. She had dreamt she was sitting by a large stove. No, it was not a dream. The stove was indeed in front of her. There was a very warm fire close to the little girl. She stretched out her feet toward the stove to get warm. Then the flame went out, and the stove vanished. All she had was the blackened stump of the match. She struck another match against the wall. As it burst into flame, it got very bright, and she was in a room when she noticed. There was a table set with splendid silverware, and in the middle was a roast goose. The roast goose was hot from the oven and looked delicious. And even more wonderful, the goose jumped off with a knife and a fork on its breast and waddled to her. Then the match went out again. What remained was a cold, wet, and thick wall in front of the poor girl. She struck another match against the wall. Next, she was sitting beneath a pretty Christmas tree. The tree was huge and decorated very nicely. "This Christmas tree is the most beautiful one I have ever seen through the windows," thought the little girl. Indeed, the tree was greater and more splendid than any other trees of rich families. Like a bright and vivid painting displayed in a shop window, thousands of candles around the tree were shining beautifully above her head. The little girl stretched out her hand toward the candles, and then the flame went out. The Christmas lights rose higher and higher into the sky and merged above with the bright stars. At that time, she saw a shooting star dashing through the sky. "Someone's dying," thought the girl. She remembered that her grandmother always said when seeing a shooting star, "When someone dies, the star falls down and the soul goes back to God." However, the dear grandmother wasn't here anymore. She was the only one who had ever loved the little girl. She struck a match once more. Now she was in brightness. She looked ahead, and her dear grandmother was standing. She thought it was real, as if her old grandmother was standing in front of her. The grandmother was smiling warmly at her, as she always did. "Granny," cried the little girl, "will you take me with you? When the match burns out, you'll vanish like the warm stove, the roast goose, and the big lovely Christmas tree." She took out all the matches and struck them so that her grandmother wouldn't go away. The matches lit up brighter than daylight. When it got brighter, the grandmother was standing there and took the little girl in her arms. Then they flew up into heaven. There was no more cold, no more hunger or pain, because God was there with them. The day dawned bright, and the little girl in the shabby dress leaned against the wall, but did not move. She had pale cheeks, but her lips were smiling. It was January 1st, and the first sun of the year shone on her. She had died sitting. She was holding a bundle of burnt matches in her hands.
She had tried to warm herself.
The people said. Nobody knew all the beautiful things that she had seen, nor did they know that the new year had welcomed her with her dear grandmother. The end.